Hello everyone, Spider Fanboy here with part 2 to What If Jiraiya Trained Naruto Seriously. So we just ended off with, just after the Pain Invasion, Konoha ended up having to root out Root, of all things. Nice little pun there. After Danzo tried to steal the Rinnegan that Nagato gifted to Naruto. He also tried to make an assassination attempt on Tsunade and Jiraiya so that he could take absolute control over Konoha. Uh, Sasuke himself had already finished his training at Ryuchi Cave with Jugo and had had his final confrontation with Itachi, which was actually a proper, even battle this time, and he was able to pull out a legitimate win. Of course, if Itachi wasn't sick, it might have gone a little bit more evenly, but either way, Sasuke was eventually informed by Obito, or Madara, of the truth behind the Uchiha massacre. Um, the information regarding what happened with Root is about to be released to the public. They're going to make their claim, and they're going to fix up some of Konoha, or at least what they can manage, before Tsunade and with her assistant and right hand man. Maybe that isn't so good since he lost one of his arms. And Jiraiya are going to be attending the 5 Kage Peace Summit in regards to the threat of the Akatsuki. And let's go on ahead and just pick up where we left off. Oh yeah, and also mentioned that the rest of the rookie 11 or rookie 10 minus Sasuke and Naruto, basically all of the other Konoha main characters, side characters, they ended up showing their mettle in the battle against Root. Sakura has managed to access the first and second gate to help her achieve the state of the Byakugo much earlier, and was able to pull it out in battle. Nothing too showy, but it was definitely an increase in her speed and power. So it's going to be a decent trump card that she can use for now until she can properly manifest her Byakugo. Hinata was able to pull out her twin lion fist and had also showcased her skill in her taijutsu, in her clan's taijutsu, by showing off the 64 and even 128 palms technique against nearly half a dozen squads of Root members alongside her team. And Shikamaru and Inoshikacho, their training is just about the same. Rock Lee himself has actually been training himself and somewhat lamented over the fact that he wasn't able to show off his 7th gate that he's recently achieved. Uh, Naruto himself ended up dealing with Naruto himself has dealt with incomplete completely on his own, nearly completely on his own, was able to deal with Danzo, with Jiraiya and Tsunade as his backup, and was able to make him waste his Izanagi, and was able to steal Shisui's eye back before disabling him using some seals. Uh, he was able to counter Danzo's own curse seal that he tried to use to suicide with some of his own, and Danzo was then publicly executed, as well as whatever supporters he may have had left. So everyone else is getting ready for the upcoming peace summit and making preparations to strengthen Konoha despite their weakened state. Their Jinchuriki is stronger than ever, and Kurama has actually been opening up to Naruto and sharing some information in what he actually knows in regards to the Rinnegan and what the plan could possibly be. He's wary about completely trusting Naruto, but he knows the kid wouldn't try to do something too stupid. So, or at least not stupid enough that it would doom the entire world and bring the Ten Tails back. He ends up admitting to the kid that out of everyone he would ever possibly trust, he would trust the kid most with these kind of eyes. And he even opens up to him, telling him that they belong to his father, the Sage of Six Paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. He doesn't go much further than that, but knowing that he has the QB of all people's backing does give him the confidence to go through with the surgery. Tsunade and Sakura are the ones to have him go through who are the ones to perform the surgery on him, and and as a result, he has the Rinnegan placed into his eyes, and he's going to be adjusting to them while everyone else goes to the peace summit. It's specifically going to be Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi, as Naruto is getting adjusted to these eyes of his. And with Sasuke, he has actually been training. he's been training to learn how to use his abilities. He plans to confront Tsunade and Jiraiya at the Five Kage Summit, especially since he recently just learned about the execution of Danzo and the uprooting of the Root Division, as well as he knows that Konoha probably isn't even completely aware of what happened with Itachi, and while that does fill him with rage, he also thinks about the fact that Danzo is now dead. So he can only really go after the remaining two advisors. And he has a bit of a plan. He plans to confront Tsunade and Jiraiya at the Five Kage Peace Summit and to get them to either turn over the remaining two elders or to have them executed and punished for their crimes. Punished for their crimes against his clan and the massacre of the Uchiha. He also wants Itachi's name to be exonerated, or so that he wants his name to be cleared, and he wants to be able to take back his clan, the Uchiha clan, and to take it away from Konoha. That's if he and that's mainly what he's kind of coming up with logically, but he's also more than willing to burn the village to the ground if they try to deny him his vengeance. So his plan is to confront Jiraiya and Tsunade and kind of see what happens. But he does have Madara kind of constantly whispering in his ear and stoking his flames of rage and hatred. Eventually they have their meeting at the summit, and some of the other nations are a bit wary of this power that the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki seems to hold. His mastery over Sage Mode and his status as what seems to be a perfect Jinchuriki according to what their own reports are saying. But as well as the fact that he seems to hold the eyes, the dojutsu of the leader of the Akatsuki. This is of course when Obito and Sasuke end up making their appearance, and Obito loudly claims that he is actually the leader of the Akatsuki, and he's pretty sure his own eyes are still in his head, although he can show them off to everyone if they would like, and his Sharingan is blazing. Sasuke specifically is staring down at Jiraiya and Tsunade. With a much more powerful and in-control Jugo, he was willing to trust his team to take care of themselves against the samurai. So he completely bypassed them. They're not really his priority. He ends up facing off against the two of them. They have to go into their 100 seal, Tsunade's 100 seal, and Jiraiya's Sage Mode in order to combat Sasuke's Sage Mode and his Mangekyo Sharingan. He forces them into a confrontation and is able to drag them away from the rest of the Kage, while Madara holds their attention. And basically he lays out all the cards on the table. He asks them if they even knew about the massacre, and they both mentioned that they didn't. Although they have been looking into some of the dealings Danzo has been doing, because of the peace summit, they hadn't been able to go through everything, and all of those investigations are on hold until she returns. Sasuke is like a little bit. He's kind of like not sure what to feel, but he's definitely feeling rage. So he lashes out at them. He still gets into a bit of a fight with them, and he is straining his eyes. Unknown to him, though, the rest of the team, Konoha has actually sent some backup. I wouldn't be surprised if Jiraiya was able to send a messenger toad back to Konoha. And Naruto, who is recently recovered, is quick to teleport towards his master's location, and he meets up with Sasuke, with his Rinnegan eyes now in place. The two of them are staring each other down with their newly awakened dojutsu. Sasuke is kind of perplexed. He wonders where Naruto got these eyes of his. But Naruto also asks him what exactly he's been doing. He sees that he's in some form of Sage Mode that he's acquired for himself, and he wonders if he somehow evolved the curse mark even further. He even questions briefly if this is Orochimaru is talking about, but Sasuke makes it clear. This is him. This is who he is. And he's here for his vengeance. Naruto questions this, asking him to confirm whether or not he actually managed to kill Itachi. And Sasuke does clarify that he does, but that he also learned the truth, and he reveals this truth to Naruto, who himself is a bit shocked, and actually apologizes to Sasuke. Sasuke once again actually wonders if Naruto is going to wax poetic about how he understands, but he actually clarifies that he's sorry that he killed Danzo and didn't give Sasuke the chance to get his revenge, which actually gets him to pause. Sasuke kind of wonders what it is he could understand about revenge, but he ends up telling him about how he nearly lost his master, Jiraiya, to pain, and how due to he ended up forgiving him after they came to a bit of an understanding for the actions that he had taken against the entirety of the world as the leader of the Akatsuki. Sasuke ends up clarifying himself that he's pretty sure Pain wasn't the leader, that it was Madara, and this catches Naruto's attention. He did learn about the truth when he talked with Minato and Kushina in regards to the fact that there was a masked man claiming to be Madara who released the Kyuubi that night. He somewhat kept it to himself. He didn't really think that with the invasion of Pain, there was an appropriate time to tell everyone. And this is when he does actually talk to Jiraiya and Tsunade. He lets them in on what he ended up learning. And he ends up revealing that because of Madara's actions, his own parents died. And that also gets Sasuke to briefly pause in consideration that the man he's now working with brought pain and loneliness and suffering to Naruto's life. And that while it wasn't the same as his own, it was the closest thing that anyone could possibly get to it. And as much as he appreciates having the fact that Naruto actually does somewhat understand more than ever where he's coming from, he's not sure how he feels about the fact what kind of methods were required to get him to understand. The fact that he had to lose his parents without getting to know them, and that it's because of Madara's fault. So he ends up feeling conflicted, and out of nowhere, a small crow ends up landing between them. The eye that's facing towards Naruto looks normal, but he can easily sense some kind of chakra signature in it. He thinks it might be some kind of summon, but Sasuke is looking directly into the other eye, and it casts Kodo Matsukami on him. Here, we're gonna say that since Itachi was convinced that he was going to be killed by Sasuke, and he didn't have someone like Naruto, at least he didn't meet him to confirm that he would be able to reach Sasuke. Um, or, yeah, I'm gonna just say that Naruto never had his battle with Itachi while going to meet with while going to go save Gaara. I can't believe I forgot that, but that didn't happen. He was fast enough to just completely bypass Itachi, and he would have been able to cast his Bringer of Darkness Genjutsu against Itachi to stop him from using that Tsukuyomi. So that interaction sadly never happened. So he didn't entrust Kodo Matsukami. So he ended up changing what the Genjutsu the crow would use would actually end up doing to Sasuke. What he does is that he does have the failsafe. It will use Kodo Matsukami on Sasuke and completely force him to go back to Konoha. Technically, it would brainwash him into going back into Konoha if it needed to keep him safe. But since he didn't really have a backup plan in Naruto, he instead made it so that he would actually be able to talk with Sasuke. He programmed a Genjutsu with a decent amount of his own chakra in order to talk with Sasuke. So just another reason, if you want, to give towards why Itachi was utterly stomped by this version of Sasuke. He sacrificed a decent amount of his own chakra, sealing it into this Genjutsu. And he actually has a talk with Sasuke, and he explains his own reasonings as to why he did what he did. And Sasuke, being in this emotionally vulnerable kind of state, is somewhat understanding, but he is still trying to hold on to his rage. And Itachi is at least able to convince him to at least ally himself with Naruto and to leave Madara. He tells him that he definitely doesn't have the best intention towards him. He's no better. If anything, he's worse than Orochimaru. He orchestrated the civil war in Kirigakure. From what he could tell, he orchestrated some of the events that ended up leading to the Uchiha clan massacre in the first place with the Nine Tails attack, and he possibly had a hand in a number of other events across the entirety of the ninja world. And he makes it clear that he is not the person to be allied with. If he wants to stand by anyone, and if he wants to really seek change in this ninja world that runs on the cycle of hatred, he should do it with Naruto. Sorry for the abrupt pause. My sister came in to ask me to make her some sandwiches. But yeah, Itachi is having his talk with Sasuke in this brief Genjutsu, barely even taking half a second in the real world, but he is talking to him and he manages to convince him without having to actually cast Kodo Matsukami. He instead programmed a basic but still a basic but still very powerful and advanced genjutsu. So the eye doesn't actually end up using up Kodo Matsukami, and here the bird ends up landing on Sasuke's shoulder after their conversation is done. And Sasuke briefly closes his eyes before relaxing out of sage mode and talking to Naruto. He says that he's come to a decision. He's going to come with him to Konoha to ensure that they air out everything that they need to, but that before they do, he needs to gather the rest of his team, and they need to get away from Madara. Naruto quickly forms a shadow clone who's able to get the rest of Sasuke's team, and they all they all gather up to meet back in that room where they were all talking. And Madara ends up making his public declaration of war to the four Kages while this is all happening. They head back as soon as Madara arrives, and Naruto instantly tries to blitz him using his KCM and Sage Mode. He instantly goes to try to hit him, but he ends up phasing through. He just barely managed to see what was happening. He just barely managed to catch a glimpse of Naruto rushing towards him, and he ended up teleporting away. He is disappointed that he doesn't have Sasuke on his side, and it's definitely a negative that Naruto now has the Rinnegan. So he's gonna have to get those Rinnegan back, no matter the cost. So we end up moving forward to Konoha. Sasuke's brought his team along with him, and he's guaranteed them that after securing a promise and their word from Jiraiya and Tsunade, and specifically from Naruto, that they're not going to let any harm come to his team, they all teleport back to Konoha. Sasuke himself is impressed with Naruto's abilities, and actually asks him if that was an ability of those new eyes that he has. But he clarifies that they have a whole different set of abilities, and this is a jutsu he's managed to perfect himself. Everyone is settling down in Konoha, but that settling is not going to be for long. They're preparing for war, and Konoha, and they make the deal with Sasuke that when they get through this, they'll exonerate Itachi's name and release the crimes to the public. Or maybe they managed to do it. There was like a few days of preparation, and it's not going to be good for the Akatsuki. It's not going to be good for Obito. He has to manage. He's going to have to manage to get the. He's going to have to manage getting the Rinnegan back, and he's not going to have his Edo Tensei army. He's only going to have his white Zetsus, and they're not going to be enhanced by Yamato. So things are not going in his favor. But they end up. Naruto is going to be training his abilities alongside Sasuke. He did use some of his Mangekyo Sharingan abilities, but here he's going to be training them with Naruto training his Rinnegan abilities that he's now acquired, and Kakashi himself is actually going to get in on the training. Maybe he activates his Mangekyo Sharingan, and Sasuke's eyes almost burn him alive, but Naruto is able to get in the way, and Sasuke comes up with, and they're able to quickly theorize that it was clearly some kind of safety trap that was put in to his eye, probably just to react to any other Mangekyo Sharingan by Itachi, just in case he came across Madara. But he never, he still had that trigger against Madara before, so nothing to worry about. No burning of him alive. And Sasuke decides to prep himself. He ends up, due to this training, he pushes himself a little bit too far, and he's starting to go blind. And he still has Itachi's eyes on reserve, so he had them sealed away personally. He didn't allow Obito to take them. So he gets the surgery done specifically by Sakura. They have a little bit of a moment where he does apologize for leaving her behind the way he did, and for also just for like knocking her out and never really giving her a chance. And they have a brief moment, but it's not going to be too much. Naruto is getting a proper handle of the Rinnegan abilities, and beyond that has managed to fully gain Kurama's trust over these past few days of training, and him trying to really push towards achieving proper peace. and because of this, he's enabled him to utilize the full extent of his power. Um, he also has decided to do something with Karin, actually, with Karin, whatever you want to call her. Um, since she's an Uzumaki, he actually decided to spend a moment with her. They bonded a little bit over the fact that they're both Uzumakis. And she actually asked him, well, she knew for a fact that a good amount of Uzumakis fled to Konoha since they had an alliance. And she asked if there was any Uzumaki residences or temples nearby. And they end up finding that place where that Orochimaru had found with the Shinigami release mask. Naruto is able to examine what notes that they have there, and he's able to theorize that this would probably allow someone to get into contact with the Shinigami without costing them their soul. And he knows for a fact that Minato sealed the other half of Kurama inside of himself. If Minato didn't get to tell him, then Kurama definitely tells him, "Oh yeah, I'm only at half power. You could probably use that and release the souls of those Hokages so that they can properly move on to the afterlife," which he does end up doing. And beyond that, he actually is able to use the mask to specifically release the chakra that was sealed into Minato's soul and release it back into himself. So he gets a full power Kurama, right? And he also has the Rinnegan. Sasuke is adjusting to his eyes and is able to finally get a handle for his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and his Snake Sage mode, and is actually training against Naruto and his Kurama avatar with his two-legged Susanoo. It's not the complete body Susanoo, not yet, but he may be able to access it since he's enhanced by Sage mode. But at the very least, he's probably going to be able to do something like that curse mark that spread across his Susanoo. And Naruto's going to have a full power QB enhanced by Sage mode. And they're all gearing up for war. Let's say that Obito actually takes a little longer to consolidate his forces, and he actually sneaks into Konoha, not to steal his eyes. He instead goes for the Forbidden Scroll, which once again, for whatever reason, the security is lax around it. They didn't really expect him to go for that, and he manages to learn how to cast the Edo Tensei himself. Um, we can easily say that he manages to figure it out on his own. Maybe he uses whatever. Maybe he raided some of Orochimaru's bases and was able to, with some help from Black Setsu or whatever, was able to improve it to the same level Kabuto did. And he's able to cast the Edo Tensei himself, and he's gearing up for war. Naruto is told about the Ghetto Mazo, and he does summon it to. He summons it to one of the training grounds, and then seals it away, specifically so that it can't be accessed by the Akatsuki. So he's able to get the Ghetto Mazo with the tailed beast inside away from the hands of Obito. Now, because he does cast the Edo Tensei himself, he Obito decides to very specifically hand choose who he's going to be reviving. He does revive Madara because he's going to be the only person he can get with the Rinnegan. Nagato definitely isn't going to have the Rinnegan because he died without them. Um, or maybe he does summon Nagato. Yeah, he brings back Nagato. He specifically attacked Konan. He had that same battle with her, and he specifically went for Nagato's body so that he could resurrect him and use him to cast to summon the Geromazo and take control of all of the paths of pain, or to take control of the Jinchuriki. And just in case, he also decides to resurrect Madara, or to have him on standby in case Nagato isn't able to completely control. Unless in case Naruto is able to uh, prove that he has greater control, or at least more power to overpower Nagato's own use of the Rinnegan in trying to summon the Geromazo and reform the Ten Tails. He has Madara on standby since he knows that he would be a stronger Rinnegan user, considering they're his Rinnegan, than either of them. So the war is going to start just about the same except for the fact that the white Zetsu are weaker, and Sasuke is from the beginning on the side of the Shinobi Alliance. They all team up, and we could say that Naruto is ready to go on the front lines. He has his clones all in Sage mode with each of the divisions and the various companies. And Sasuke and Naruto specifically are going to be teamed up together, and they're hoping to find Madara on the battlefield. Uh, they go into battle, and a lot of the battles are just about the same, except for the fact that Naruto is carrying from the beginning. So there's no real struggle against the Kinkaku and Ginkaku. Um, and most of the Akatsuki members that are resurrected are taken down by his shadow clones almost immediately. And yeah, Nagato basically, or Obito basically has black and white Zetsu take care of things. And Itachi and Nagato are sent out to face off against Naruto and Sasuke. So they end up being separated. They're moving around with B to help keep him safe as well. The two Jinchurikis are sticking together with as well as Sasuke, and they're all keeping each other safe. They're moving in between all of the battlefields, and the three of them end up facing off against Itachi and Nagato. And here, Naruto ended up giving Shisui's other eye to Sasuke to implant into that crow, and here he so the crow is going to have both versions of Kodo Matsukami, and it's able to use the one from Danzo that only disables, like you can only use it like what, once a day. Yeah, it's only going to be able to be used once a day, but it's still able to cast Kodo Matsukami on Itachi, and he breaks free from the Genjutsu, and he asks Sasuke to come with him so that they can take care of Madara, or specifically so that they can take care of White and Black Zetsu, who are controlling all of the Edo Tensei. Naruto um, manages to disable Nagato by using the human path, and rips out his soul from his Edo Tensei body and lets him pass on. But Nagato does warn him that the man in the mask isn't the true Madara, and that he does have the true Madara on standby to use the power of the Rinnegan and to try to wrestle control of the other tailed beast from him. And as he says this, Naruto actually feels some kind of ripple, some kind of disturbance, and it's due to the fact that Madara has just been resurrected to face off against the Fourth Division and one of his shadow clones. Here he doesn't waste any time. He knows that Sasuke is out facing off against the Zetsu, that weird Zetsu guy. So he grabs onto B and he swaps places using his Hiraishin seals, and is able to swap places with his clone, who he makes a clone, disperses it to send all the update that he just learned to all the other clones. He swaps places with the clone with the Fourth Division, who then goes to track down Sasuke and Itachi and to give them some backup, while the main Naruto faces off against the true Madara. The clone Naruto actually ends up getting interrupted by a much weaker Obito due to the fact that he doesn't have the Rinnegan. But if anything, due to the fact that it's not draining his chakra as much, he's going to be able to release much more intensive techniques. And we can just say he has a random Sharingan eye, so that he can use Izanagi or Izanami, whatever it's called. Either way, Sasuke and Itachi end up facing off against Zetsu, and the two of them together are actually able to take down the conjoined Zetsu. And I actually mean both of them, in that Itachi uses his Totsuka blade to seal away Black Zetsu, because he knows it's the more cunning of the two, whereas they both use Amaterasu to burn up White Zetsu. And we can say that he used the Izanami, or yeah, we'll say that he ended up using that Izanagi thing to get him to cancel it. And as soon as he canceled it, he had his Totsuka blade pierce through the two of them, and he sealed them both away. This isn't really going to affect the rest of the White Zetsu army, but it is going to cause the Edo Tensei to be released. And while this is happening, Naruto, the main Naruto, is having his battle against Madara, and it's a battle of the Rinnegan. Madara, with access to the Rinnegan, is also able to pull out his perfect Susanoo, which would be more powerful than Naruto's full KCM. Except, or at least it would have been in canon. He has KCM 2 with the full Kurama, so he might be able to make the difference. There, the Susanoo, his full body Susanoo might just be about equal to Naruto's Sage Mode enhanced um, Kurama avatar, which is made from the full Kurama this time. So they're going to be like trading blow for blow. And while it's clear that Madara has more experience with his with the Rinnegan techniques, Naruto is a lot more creative. So they're just about equal, and it's going. It seems to be going in Naruto's favor for like the first portion of the fight. But it's clear that the fact that he still has to get used to the fact that he has the Rinnegan, and that Madara has like infinite chakra. Naruto of all people is actually starting to flag and be drained of his energy for like the first time in a long time. We can easily say that like if they get into taijutsu, and Madara tries to actually drain him of his chakra, Naruto can counter, but it's the strain that these eyes are finally starting to put on his body that's actually starting to get to him. And luckily, this is when the Edo Tensei is about to be released, but then Madara ends up casting it on himself and is able to get back some control. And this is when Obito, who finally defeated his Naruto clone, is able to arrive on the battlefield. He was able to outlast it, surprisingly enough, and was able to take it out. Was able to take it out when it was distracted. Let's say it was able to feel that he was actually trying to use the human and Preda path. Maybe that's what Madara was trying to actually do. He tried to feint him using the Preda path, but then went trying to use the human path to pull out his soul. And this disturbance ended up messing up his connection to his clones and caused them all to dispel. So Obito has arrived onto the battlefield, and Sasuke is also quick to arrive himself with his snake sage mode and his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and they end up clashing once more um, as their battle begins to continue. It's Naruto and Sasuke versus Madara and Obito, and the five Kage are providing support along with Jiraiya, since all of the other Edo Tensei have been dispelled. Right now, it's just the companies taking down the weaker white Zetsus. So everyone is beginning to gather into one place. They get to that same area where they ended up having their final battle, and Madara is eventually able to. He's not gonna have Black Zetsu to be able to help him, but eventually Naruto does fall out of KCM. He doesn't fall out of Sage Mode, but he does fall out of KCM, or maybe he just falls into his first stage KCM. And Madara takes this as his advantage. He has Obito distract Sasuke, and he has his wood clones take on the five Kage, and Madara ends up rushing in, and like in this moment of weakness, he's also, as the battle was raging on, he was able to summon the Geromazo to his side, to his control, and was also using it to get Naruto to start to flag. So he had the Geromazo actually steal some of Kurama's chakra in order to help get him to be more exhausted throughout the battle. So he stopped using the Susanoo and instead started using the Geromazo, which was powered by nearly every other tailed beast. And the turn in the battle happens when one of Madara's wood clones is able to use the Rinnegan to pull the eight tails out from B and kills him directly right on the spot in the middle of the battle. And this infuriates the Raikage. He temporarily loses control and is taken out of the equation as well. He's knocked away with one of the Susanoo. The five Kage begin to lose their battle against the wood clones. Naruto tries to rush in, but because his back is turned, he's not paying attention, and he is pierced by the same chains of the Rinnegan from Madara. And as he then pulls out he ends up yanking out the complete Kurama, And as the Ten Tails is beginning to form, Madara comes in. He takes the Rinnegan, and he knows he doesn't have access to Black Zetsu. So what he does do is that he stabs in his chakra rods into Obito, or perhaps he has that seal that he has on his heart. Take control of Obito. He had a few other different backup plans. So he has maybe he had a chakra rod, a chakra receiver in that seal as well, and it takes control of Obito. He gets away from Sasuke, and he gives one of the Rinnegan. He has um, Obito replace it. And in order to keep Sasuke at bay, he has his wood clones that had just finished dealing with the five Kage and Jiraiya. He has them come over to keep Sasuke off his back as he gives one of the Rinnegan to Obito. He replaces his left eye, and he casts the Rinne Rebirth on Madara, who then takes back his Rinnegan. He puts both of them into his new body, and he completely absorbs the complete Ten Tails. And because of this, he ends up facing off against Sasuke, who's trying to make a final stand. But similarly to in canon, he's just pierced with, let's just say, one of the black chakra orbs, and he's left for dead. He has his Obito clone, which is now more of a walking corpse at this point, follow him along, and he gets ready to fight off against the last of the shinobi forces. Um, there's two people in particular, two users of the gates, a seventh gate user and an eighth gate user, who he has to take care of before he can cast the infinite Tsukuyomi. And Naruto and Sasuke are both found by Hinata and Sakura. Hinata is trying to get Sakura over here to heal Naruto, and they're worrying over the fact that they don't have. He's now completely eyeless and he's practically a corpse, and Sasuke took a hole to the heart. Uh, they also noticed the state of the five Kage, and Sakura, who is now properly awakened her Byakugo, comes up with a plan. She summons Katsuyu and helps her heal Tsunade, and she asks Tsunade if there's anything that she can do to help him. They both focus properly on healing up Sasuke and healing that heart, healing his chest wound. They don't know if it's going to be able to do anything, and we'll say that Sakura is focused on healing Sasuke, and Tsunade is prepared to cast the same jutsu that Chio ended up using on Naruto in order to bring him back. As this is happening, and as Madara, a much more complete Madara and a much more powerful one, is having his battle against Might Guy and Seventh Gate Lee, who is acting as support, um, the battle, Hagoromo has his meeting with Naruto and Sasuke, and he's proud that they're both getting along, that his reincarnations of his sons are getting along. And here, when he offers him their power, Sasuke is actually able to gain his own access to Six Path Sage Mode, and he ends up. I'm just gonna give him dual Rinnegan. I'm gonna give him the two Rinnegan. I don't know why he only had one. So he's gonna unlock both Rinnegan, and he's gonna have his own Six Path Sage Mode, which is going to also remove the need for markings. If anything, he's gonna gain those weird markings that Indra had, those weird little purple rings that he had, and instead of the extensive changes that Snake Sage Mode gives you. So he's only gonna get those purple markings from Indra, and he's gonna get the complete Rinnegan. And he goes over to help Naruto, who just got up, but he's still without his eyes. He freaks out for a moment, but Sasuke ends up giving him his old pair of eyes, his own personal old pair of eyes, and he implants them into Naruto's head with the help of Tsunade and Sakura and Hinata. They're all just watching. They're wondering what the hell just happened. What the hell is going on? How are they alive? And Naruto engages his chakra mode, and I'm gonna just give him the chakra mode from Asura's chakra in like the filler, and I think like in the manga, there was a panel in the manga where he had an Asura, like a three-headed chakra avatar that looked like Kurama's. So he's gonna gain access to, um, he's gonna regain his Kurama avatar, but he's not actually gonna have Kurama. It's just gonna be in the style of Kurama. Uh, so he's gonna gain back his Six Paths Kurama avatar, and Sasuke is going to get access to six pass chakra mode and the power of the Rinnegan. And since Naruto has six paths Sage Chakra, he's given Sasuke's old eyes. He actually uses the yin yang, the ability to manipulate reality. He instead of like creating himself a new pair of eyes, he just makes it so that his eyes look blue, so that he's gonna have his normal look. He's like, that was one thing that bothered me about having the Rinnegan before, of having Nagato's Rinnegan. I would never be able to go back to my blue eyes. And they end up teleporting onto the battlefield with the proper Horizon. They teleport to Kakashi, who is about to try to use Kamui on Obito and on the zombified Obito. He's basically a zombie at this point. He's completely controlled by Madara using the chakra rods. But here it's going to be Sasuke with access to both Rinnegan and Naruto who has and as well as six path sage mode and Naruto with six path sage mode. He doesn't have any of the chakra of the tailed beast, sadly, but he does have access to Sasuke's original pair of eyes, which he has modified to look blue normally when they're just in their normal state. But he can also use his Amaterasu and his Kagutsuchi. And Sasuke himself is he used his own abilities with six path sage mode and all of that kind of crazy Jesus powers to unlock the ability to use Tsukuyomi from Itachi's eyes. He reignited some of that. He's using some plot armor based power to give himself access to Tsukuyomi. It's not going to be useful in this battle, but that's something to note going forward. And they engage in battle with a much more powerful and much more dangerous Madara. Right from the get-go, he has access to both Rinnegan and he has a complete 10 tails. And the two of them have a plan. They're going to use their creation of all things technique to to try to they're going to try to pull apart the ten tails. They're going to use Sasuke's Rinnegan to pull the ten tails out of Madara, and then they're going to seal Madara himself away, and then reform the ten tails back into the form of the nine-tailed beasts. So they engage in battle, and the battle is going to go similarly to how it did in canon. The only difference is that Hinata is actually tagging along with Sakura. So if Sakura and Kakashi do get dragged into the battle, Hinata is going to be there as well. There is one thing. The reason I'm going to change the reasoning as to how Kaguya ends up coming back, because in canon it was completely stupid. Here it's going to be the fact that Naruto tries to jump the gun in reforming, in trying to pull the ten tails from Madara, and Sasuke is trying to fix whatever it is Naruto ended up doing, and the two of them kind of messing up, not really knowing exactly how to go about it. They end up destabilizing Madara, and the ten tails takes over, and it's able to use Madara's body to reform itself as Kaguya, because Kaguya and ten tails are one and the same being. The ten tails is what Kaguya ended up turning into after a period of time, after eating the heart, after eating that fruit of the Senju tree, or whatever it was called. And he did still absorb the tree. He absorbed it similarly to how he did in canon. But or maybe it's the tree. Him absorbing the tree and having Kaguya's voice speak to him. It ends up messing with his head throughout the battle. Madara is getting a little bit more distracted, and when the two of them try to use the creation of all things technique to rip the ten tails from him and reform it back into the tailed beast, they accidentally push the ten tails consciousness, which is technically Kaguya's consciousness, into the forefront, and it snaps back into the form of Kaguya. And she faces off against them. Their battle is going about the same, and we can say that Kakashi ended up killing Obito to put him out of his misery. Maybe when Kaguya ended up taking back control, Obito kind of just dropped lifelessly. But with his final act, he was once again, similarly to the past, he gifted Kakashi with his final Sharingan, and with his other Sharingan, and this is how Kakashi is able to pull out his dual Mangekyo Sharingan against Kaguya, he's not gonna have he's not gonna have Susanoo. The two of them are just able to Hinata and Sakura alongside Kakashi are able to get out of the way thanks to Naruto using one of his chakra arms in order to grab him, and he's able to get the three of them out of the way. And Kakashi actually ends up joining Sasuke in his Susanoo, and this is gonna be how the Kamui Raikiri ends up being formed. Uh, uh, Sasuke ends up forming the Raikiri in his Susanoo's hand, and Kakashi lends his hand and casts Kamui. He channels it through the Susanoo so that they can use it in conjunction. And again, if you think it's BS, just Sasuke himself also has access to Six Path Sage Mode and all of those crazy powers, so he's able to gift Kakashi with the ability to help him actually cast it. Or at the very least, he's able to use it at a wider range. So instead of just Kamui Raikiri, he just uses a big ass Kamui to tear away the arms that Kage is letting out. And they end up forcing her to once again turn into the complete Ten Tails, that weird rabbit monster, and they seal her away. And instead of Hagoromo summoning all the dead Kage, what they do is that they seal the Ten Tails away, and Naruto places his hand on it, or they place their Kurama avatar encased in Susanoo. They place the hand on it, and he has Sasuke use his visual prowess to open up a brief portal in conjunction with Kakashi using Kamui, and Naruto is able to in this brief instance of opening and tearing through the dimensions, Naruto is able to focus on one of his Zoraishin markers that's still on the battlefield, and is able to teleport away. And they end up teleporting away. They get back to the battlefield, and Madara ends up, let's say, when they release the Ten Tails and then use the creation of all things technique to restore the form of the Biju. This also leaves Madara on the floor, about to die. And realizing that everything he tried to do was all for nothing, he casts the Art of Rebirth to revive most, if not all, of the casualties of from the beginning of the war. So that's going to be his redemption instead of just, oh, we can be drinking buddies with Hashirama. That's gonna be his. That's gonna be his little itty bitty redemption, and in return, and yeah, so he ends up casting the Art of Rebirth that revives all of the casualties that were killed near the beginning of the war, and then Naruto and Sasuke end up releasing the Infinite Tsukiyomi, and here there's no need for a final battle. There's no need for a final battle. B is restored, and he ends up taking Yuki back into himself because of the Art of Rebirth. And Naruto welcomes the full Kurama back into himself, and the rest of the tailed beasts end up deciding to go their separate ways into the world. And the war ends up ending, and we don't need a battle between Sasuke and Naruto. And since Sasuke hasn't committed the same war crimes he did in canon, except for assaulting the Hokage, which is ended up being brushed away due to the fact he contributed to the war since the very beginning, and even gave some information on the Akatsuki and stuff. Uh, but yeah, since he's basically a war hero, his whatever few crimes he has, defecting from the Leaf and then attacking the Hokage, it's waved away pretty easily. And he doesn't need to serve out his sentence, and he doesn't need to. Maybe he does still decide to kind of travel the world and prepare for the Akatsuki, but he's not going to be like a complete outcast the way he was. He's going to be reinstated as a proper shinobi, and maybe he's gonna learn under Jiraiya. He's gonna set up a spy network, and similar to what Jiraiya does, maybe he decides to retire. And Naruto is actually going to go back to Konoha and is going to prepare to become the Hokage. Uh, and just to briefly mention, Naruto does still have access to Sasuke's original eyes, his original Mangekyo Sharingan. And when you have a reincarnate of Ashura mix their chakra with the reincarnate of Indra, this is eventually going to allow Naruto to awaken the Rinnegan. And this is something that he reawakens his own pair, and they're going to be red, just like a little bit of a nod. They're going to be red, and even over time he ended up developing his own abilities with them. So Now we have two people with Sage of Six Paths level Rinnegan. And to help Kakashi, they also use the same technique that Naruto used to create him a new eye. They use their Six Paths powers to merge his eyes that he has of Obito and the spare eyes from of Shisui that they have, the one from Danzo and the other one from Itachi. And they give him access to a pair of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan that he can turn on and off. So he's still going to be Kakashi of the Sharingan. And now we are going to eventually move on to the events of Naruto the Last. And like I said before, Hinata was around for the final battle against Kaguya. She stuck with Sakura throughout the battle, and it was her and Sakura who found Sasuke and Naruto's bodies. So they were around for the final battle with Kakashi and Naruto and Sasuke versus Madara and Kaguya. And because of this, she ends up. This is like we could say that she had her moment where she was like, as she was trying to resuscitate Naruto, bring him back to life, try to revive him. She once again like she. This is where she proclaimed her love, or they end up getting together over the course of like what was it, 2 or 3 years, between the end of Naruto and Naruto the Last. So they're actually in an established relationship. And when Toneri comes down, um, he doesn't get kidnapped. He's able to be taken care of, and he doesn't. So hmm, no, we'll say that he still kidnaps Hanabi like in canon. Um, Going for Hinata was the distraction, and here Sasuke is probably in the village from the beginning. Like when he hears of what happened and Otsutsuki came from the moon, apparently to Konoha, he immediately heads back to Konoha using his teleportation and is ready to guard Konoha while Naruto, Hinata, in the same group as in canon, head out to find Toneri. They still go to that same lost city, and here instead of instead of them having their awkward romance where Naruto is finally starting to realize his feelings, it's instead Naruto comforting and reassuring Hinata that they're gonna bring his sister back home safe, or her sister back home safe. And they end up having a similar fight on the moon. And here she's not taken in, she's not captured by Toneri. She's able to hold her own. And Naruto and Hinata actually engage with Toneri in battle. Um, Hinata herself has been trying to gain strength ever since the war, and she decided since she developed a much more solid friendship with Sakura, she actually ended up learning the Byakuga from her and Tsunade. So she pulls it out in the battle and is actually able to decently hold her own against base Toneri, but then he goes into his chakra mode, so Naruto steps in to handle it, and he handles him even more easily than in canon. And they end up getting Hanabi's eyes back, and after defeating Toneri, the we can say that this is when Hanada actually has her conversation with Homura, Hagoromo's brother, and he makes an offer towards her. He's seen how his brother decided to pass his chakra and how he split it between the reincarnates of his two sons. Well, he wants to entrust his chakra just in case the Otsutsuki do decide to make their move, like his mother was worried about. It's why he it's why he ended up bringing the Otsutsukis to the moon and creating the weapon in the first place. He wanted it to be pointed away from Earth, not towards it. And he asked Hinata if she can help him rectify that mistake by taking on his chakra. And she, at first, is a little dubious, but she's seen how Naruto and Sasuke trusted Hagoromo, so she decides to trust Hamura, and he gives her his chakra. And she awakens the Tensegan, which is something she ends up practicing with Naruto. She practices her enhanced visual prowess with him and her chakra mode as well. And she even learns, I don't know if she would learn a sage mode, but she would gain access to six paths chakra. So now we have three members with six paths chakra and enhanced visual prowess. So Naruto does end up becoming Hokage, and that goes about the same. The only difference is that he's not going to be like, I don't want to say a bad dad because he wasn't really a bad dad. He was just a very busy one. But he's not going to be a workaholic basically. When he ends up stepping up as Hokage, and he has his two children in Himawari and Boruto, and we could say that Sasuke is actually a part of Sarada's life here. He actually manages to make time for her. Maybe his sensei and Kakashi actually decides to take over his spy network so that Sasuke can be a more permanent part of her of his daughter's life. So Sasuke is actually around the village and is a part of Sarada's life. And I'm gonna cover up some like the events leading up to the events of the Boruto movie and the beginning of the manga stuff. So Naruto isn't a complete workaholic. He can have shadow clones step in to work in the office while he attends important events like birthdays and first days at school for the kids, and spending time with them during the holidays and all that kind of stuff. There are occasionally times where he has to leave a shadow clone at home instead, but mostly he's actually able to spend a good majority of his time at home with his family. And speaking of his family, Boruto is the same little prodigy that he is. He's mastered three out of the five, or at the very least, he has access to three out of the five basic chakra natures and actually learns the Rasengan from an earlier age. He doesn't develop any like putting in his elements into it, but he is able to use the power of the Rasengan. He is able to use the Rasengan, just like how he's able to use the Shadow Clones. And Himawari is actually actively practicing with her Byakugan. It's something that she can control, and she has fun sparring with her mom. She has some fun sparring with her mom and learning from her. Boruto is a bit put out. He wonders if he's going to awaken the Sharingan from his dad and evolve it into the Rinnegan, or the Byakugan from his mom. But Naruto tells him not to worry. There's a reason he taught him the Rasengan anyway, and he tells him that when he makes it to Chunin, if he ends up graduating and if he ends up becoming a Chunin, when he becomes a Chunin, he'll teach him how to use the Hiraishin. That's his little promise to get him to really put his effort and not mope about the fact that he doesn't have some special eyes. Not yet, anyways. And Sarada is learning from a much earlier age from her father, learns how to use the Chidori, learns how to use lightning style and fire style, and is also learning some advanced chakra control from her mother, and learns how to use medical ninjutsu. I know she didn't really have a talent for it in like the anime, but here I'm gonna give that to her. She is learning how to use medical ninjutsu and is learning the basics of what Sakura had to go through to learn that hysterical strength that Sakura and Tsunade are so well known for. And that's going to be about like the only changes when it comes to the next generation, because everyone else is just about the same in what they ended up developing and how strong they got, except for Rock Lee. He learned the seventh gate much earlier, so maybe Metal is like a little bit stronger himself, a little bit more confident maybe, but not by too much. And here I'm having it, Metal Lee is going to be the son of Tenten. Oh, and Neji never died. Okay, screw it. Neji and Tenten have a kid. And they are just as much a prodigy in using the Byakugan as Neji was. And once again, we have a Hyuga prince this time and a branch member who is a little princess. And thanks to Naruto swinging his political weight around and Hinata swinging her literal power around, they're able to get the whole thing with the branch members and the mark and the cursed seals. They're able to deal with that. No more branch family. Maybe it's a branch family, but it's not like clear segregation like it was in the actual series. Yeah, the times of peace are going a lot better than they normally would have, especially for our heroes. But yeah, their academy days they go about like the same, except for the fact that Boruto doesn't have daddy issues the entire time. Uh, Konohamaru probably has properly learned Sage Mode, let's say from the monkeys that he summons. And let me actually see. So Boruto was named after Neji, and I don't see why that should change too much. But Neji is supposed to be similar to Screw. And what does 1010 name meaning? Because most of the times these names have meaning. Heaven, little by little, or dot. Hmm. We'll just say that her name is Tama. Just a random ass name that I can think up of. That I just randomly or screw bolt in Japanese. What is nail? Sume. Okay, her name's going to be Sume. Yeah. Or hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me pause this for a second so I can actually hear this out. Or I don't know if this will play for you, but I'm using Google Translate. Let me see how this sounds. Kugi. Kugi. Okay, that's gonna be her name. Boruto and Himawari's cousin, the daughter of Lee, or the daughter of Tenten or Neji, Kugi. Byakugan prodigy and prodigy in the Gentle Fist, and considered a runner-up for being the next head of the Hyuga clan, which is currently Hinata, or if it's not Hinata, then it's Hanabi. But yeah, she seems to be a runner-up, or Neji actually. Neji, since they're all about breaking tradition, he ends up stepping up as the new head of the Hyuga clan after the branch, after the whole the segregation between the branches is ended. He ends up stepping up as the new head, so that he can ensure that nothing like the main and side branches ever happens again. So we are in proper times of peace. Neji is alive and has a daughter in the name of Kugi with Tenten, and is the head of the Hyuga clan. Both Naruto and Sasuke each have their own pair of Rinnegan. Um, Naruto has complete access to Kurama, the complete Kurama, and his six path stage mode. Same with Sasuke, he has access to his perfect Susanoo and six path stage mode himself. Hinata has access to the Tensegan and her own Tensegan chakra mode and six path chakra, and Sakura is capable of. She's learned how to properly use the gates um, ever since the end of Time of Peace. Since they know for a fact that there are other Otsutsuki out there, she's been training herself to use more of the gates in conjunction with her Byakugo mark, so that she's able to fight and constantly keep herself healed. She's basically a constant, um, perpetual energy machine. She's constantly feeding herself chakra and using that chakra to keep her body from destroying itself with the power of the gates. Kakashi has his own Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and has access to dual Kami and a little bit of six path chakra that Naruto and Sasuke use to allow him to use the Sharingan without any problems, and has been able to evolve it into the perfect Susanoo. They are all preparing themselves for the potential eventuality of another Otsutsuki invasion. They do not want to take any chances, and they will not allow themselves to do so. And yeah, that's where we're going to end it. Time of peace into the Boruto era, and I think that's what I'm going to continue with into the Boruto era. We'll see. Depends on how I myself and other people feel about it. But yeah, that's going to be the end for this part. Let me know if you liked it. Like, comment, subscribe. What you had problems with, what you didn't, what you really liked, and what aspects you would like to see in potential other what ifs that you may have ideas for. Share them with me. I'll see what I can do with them. Criticism, like I said, is always welcome. But if you're going to be a dick, don't even bother. Go waste your time with something else. And I will bid you all adieu. Bye bye, everyone. Have a good day.